welcome back to my channel. My name is CJ. This is CJ Reads. And today we are doing an original book tag. I made my own book tag questions and they're all going to be about design aesthetics, book covers, roasting things, being hypercritical about things no one thinks about or cares about. And this was really fun for me to make. I have 6 questions in total. And the most fun part about making this tag for me was the names of the questions, which we'll get into in a little bit. Decided to title this tag the Butterface Book Tag. I think it's funny. If you don't, that's fine, but let's just objectify some objects together, okay? You know, beauty is not only skin covered deep. Beauty is inside is what matters. We are looking through the facade and, you know, gaining insight and understanding and knowledge about the context and the innards. Ew. Couple things. A lot of my choices for the answers of these questions that I'm posing are 2020 releases. You don't have to have, if you do this tag, it doesn't have to be 2020 releases. In fact, I think it'll be fun if you dive back further into list titles, but these are just like the most obvious choices that came to me when I was answering these questions. Question number 1, say it, don't spray it. Cover with the most offensive use of type. I have two book examples for each question I ask because it's, you know, more fun that way. First answer for this question is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, the US cover. There's a lot wrong with this cover, but especially the typeface that Hamnet is in. I mean, hitting us over the head with the scroll context here. Really trying to make it seem like this is in the olden days. We are dipping the quill in the ink and we are writing on papyrus. We get it. This tilted N, I don't know why that's the only letter that they decided to manipulate within this type. It's not working for me. I hate this cover in general, but the worst offender is absolutely the type sitting within the scroll. Next up for Say Don't Spray, we have Supper Club by Laura Williams. The thing about the handwritten type on this cover is reading really twee to me, which I would say aligns with my thoughts about the book as well. And it's just not sitting right with my spirit. In general, I would say I don't love a handwritten type most of the time on a cover, but this one in particular is just like so middle ground that it's offensive to me in some way. Second question, we have She's Serving Reese's Book Club. One of my biggest pet peeves about cover designs is when they are just radiating commercial book cover club energy and you're just looking for that Reading with Jenna, Reese's Book Club, Oprah Winfrey stamp of approval. So first up for that, I have Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff. Can't tell me that this doesn't look like it could be a contender for Reese's Book Club. I think this book was really annoying and cerebral and meta in a lot of ways that don't reflect this kind of simplistic illustration style of an abstraction of waves. I don't know, wave imagery, ocean imagery, any kind of water imagery really feels book club to me. And I think especially paired with the handwritten type of a novel, the New York Times bestseller on this, like that pairing of that really super chunky type and the handwritten like scrawly imperfectiveness just feels very book clubby to me. Next up we have Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I haven't read this book, but kind of like collage-y, Matisse inspired, simplistic graphic elements in the background, and this contrasting of the illustration and the type color screams book club to me. I also don't like this handwritten type, I will say. It's very like, God, what does this remind me of? Like maybe like Madewell from like 2015? I don't know if that's too hyper specific, but that is what I'm feeling from this cover. I don't love it. I don't love it. Okay, question number 3, which I've titled, Yes Girl, Give Us Nothing. Cover with seemingly no energy put into it. First up we have Adele by Layla Slimani. Talked about this in a previous video, but the abstraction of the photo and like the mystique of the girl and this like really bold type at the bottom is just like giving us nothing. Literally the bare minimum you could do for a book cover, in my opinion. It's like found stock photography, added a contrasting type and a contrasting color on the top of it. Nothing. Okay, now we have Severance by Ling Ma. I don't think this is hyper offensive to me, but the millennial baby pink and like the tones of millennial malaise within the book itself was kind of heavy-handed in my opinion. I don't like the offset a novel stamp effect that's going on the bottom left corner. And I mean, overall it is supposed to be minimalistic and it is striking because of that, but I still feel like at the end of the day some of the dystopian vibes could have been pushed a little further to draw the reader in from the cover. Next up, Exciting Times by Nisha Dolan. It's giving us nothing. It is giving us nothing. 3 toothbrushes. I like the symbolism of 3 to represent the love triangle that Ava is in. Do I like it being toothbrushes? I don't know. The color palette within this feels very like Canva, YouTube, make your own digital graphics online. Even that type feels like fake 70s retro to me in a way that doesn't sit well. And overall, I just feel like it's giving me nothing. Yes, girl, give us nothing. Next up, question number 4, A Face Only a Mother Could Love. A cover that is so hideous, but the book is so good, you can't help but keep it around. I have quite a few of these, but 2 main offenders come to mind. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. I hate this cover. I almost didn't pick up this memoir, even though it was so highly acclaimed and raved about, because this cover was so off-putting to me. It feels like a YA sci-fi horror fantasy novel cover to me. The illustration style is not the one. I think like something that is really off-putting in general is just like the face of the figure that's in the middle of the house and like the layered approach to them being within it, and like the vignetting itself. It just seems really heavy-handed to try to like evoke a vibe. Like, we get it, like we're in a haunted house, there's a person outside who's like a shadowed figure, and it seems really, there's just a lot going on. It's just not my favorite. I don't like the slanted type that much either. Next up, The Undocumented Americans. I don't like this cover either. It is bad. It is bad. The layering effect of the flower and the legal papers and the kind of like blood on the cover, like the opacity that they're playing with there, I don't like it. I like the typeface, this kind of traditional Old English. I think that's nice, but I think it could have been explored in a different way. I think the type could actually take up more space because this graphic cover is so simplistic. I think Carla deserved better. I think this book is phenomenal, but the cover did absolutely nothing for me from the offset. Question number 5, take one thing off before leaving the house. I think that's like an old adage from maybe like Coco Chanel, who was a Nazi, so that's not a good reference. But you know, like that's a piece of advice if you want to be chic. It's like, look in, see if you're accessorizing too much, and take like off a bracelet before you leave the house, okay? So take one thing off before you leave the house. A cover that could use one less element. First book that immediately came to mind is I Hold a Wolf by the Ears by Laura Vandenberg. This cover is almost really good, but there's just like one too many things going on. I think I like a dark book cover, and I think the use of these like cloud ethereal figures are really cool, but paired with like a train track silhouette and a lamb, and the type fill is like supposed to be holographic. There's just like one too many things for me to focus on and try to dig through here. It's almost really good, but I wish one thing would have been left off the table. Question number 6, our final question, which I've labeled Hypebeast, a cover that is clearly going for all of the trends at the same time. My envisioning of how a lot of book design is done, you're briefed in by someone in marketing and they're like, oh, by the way, everyone loves a pastel color and Gen Z responds to the color yellow, and Succulents. My first offender for this is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. I love the lavender. The lavender is working for me, but paired with the kind of agave plant that we have here, and again, kind of a retro throwback, 70s inspired, I would say, type for both the title and the author's name on the cover, is a lot. I feel like this is gonna age poorly. It feels like without the text on it, it feels like a poster at IKEA from a few years ago. Not my favorite. And another one, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I mean, this feels like the brief was abstraction, all the colors. And it's nice. It's definitely not offensive to me. I don't love the handwritten, a novel, and then the New York Times blurb at the end, but again, I feel like this will be very specifically tied to this era in design. You're gonna be like, oh, that's from 2020. Aura vibes, metaphysical vibes. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's my original book tag, the Butterface Book Tag, which I still think is a funny name. I would love everyone to do this tag. Kieran, Jalen, Grace, Hannah, Alex, Claire, Matthew, Brittany, all of my booktube buddies. I would love to see your very subjective thoughts on book cover design. I think it's fun. No hate, no shade if any of these book covers spoke to you. It's obviously the most subjective opinion a person can have, but it is fun to unpack these things and think about what these designers and marketers are trying to sell to us, you know? Okay, I hope that was fun to watch. Ew, I just thumbs up. Okay, bye.